Bismillah Rahman Rahim. I'm thankful to Get Pharma for making this opportunity to discuss this important topic for the upcoming holy month of Ramadan, which is managing Gerd in Ramadan. I'm Professor Zahid Azam. I'm Professor of Medicine and Gastroenterology working at Dow International Medical College and working at National Institute of Liver and GI Diseases, Dow University, Ocha campus. Basically, this topic is very pertinent to be chosen, and especially when holy month of Ramadan is just 10, 11 days ahead of us. May Allah bless all the blessings of Ramadan to us and save us from this menace of COVID-19. So the objective of this talk is what I'm going to discuss in the forthcoming slides is I'm going to discuss and would highlight the benefits of fasting, and especially this benefit of fasting would be encompassing at the level of cellular level, and then what are the advantages and disadvantages of balanced diet and impact that it create if this is not followed in our daily life, and especially during the holy month of Ramadan. There are some people who are going to come to you with a lot of questions before Ramadan, and also we are going to discuss those patients who are at more risk during Ramadan for development of GI symptoms, and we are going to discuss how to advise them during Ramadan regarding dietary habits as well as lifestyle modification. And the important thing is patient adherence in terms of your advice as well as adherence to your prescription. So coming to the important topic, so why we are discussing this Ramadan and the dietary modification that comes with the holy month of Ramadan, because during Ramadan this is caloric restriction during these 29-30 days, and we are basically, majority of us are going to fast for 14 to 16 hours, and we are just allowed to eat for 8 hours. This has different cellular complex mechanism that help us in the prevention of disease and help us in regenerate our energy. So basically there is a cellular stress level responses, like fasting is a natural nutrition therapy that help us in promotion of detoxification of different chemicals that are present in our body. In next slide, at the cellular level, we are going to discuss different things like resolution of inflammatory processes, maintenance of digestive system, especially in the background of cellular levels. So if you see this picture on the right side, this is a cartonic representation at the cellular level, what is going to happen in the process of fasting, intermittent fasting. This is a very good article that was published 4 months ago in New England Journal of Medicine. This is telling us, and the title of this article was effect of intermittent fasting on health, aging, and digestive disease, and this was published in December 2019. And this is addressing what is happening with the fasting that we do offer, and as Muslims are fasting for the whole month. This is also seen in different religions like Christianity, which is also seen in Hindu religion, that they do fast. The mechanism is different, but yes, everyone is fasting. So health benefit of fasting are not just a simple of fasting, but this is helpful in different ways. Like go back to our basic when we were students in first year and second year of MBBS, where we studied different pathways like NADH conversion to NAD as well as ATP's utilization, and acetyl CoA conversion into CoA, which are active form of cellular pathways to conserve energy. So instead of fasting, doesn't ordinarily elicit, but it's a adaptive cellular response, which means that it has helpful effect in terms of glucose regulation as well as molecular stresses that happen. So this is basically we are going to talk about. Uh, it is helpful in terms of apoptosis as well as oxidative stresses that occurs during the whole year. That for 1 month we are fasting for 14 to 16 hours. So we are basically going to enhance our intrinsic defense mechanism against oxidative and metabolic stresses. So this is the another cartonic description where our energy utilization is from muscle, from glycogenesis, which is happening in the liver, then gut microbiota, that is what very important. And now we are talking about probiotics and prebiotics. This is all encompassing this thing, that there are vascular endothelial mechanisms that are important, myocytes and neurons that is important. So energy consumption is through ATP that increased mitochondrial bioavailability, up regulation that happens with decreased mTOR, and you know that mTOR is associated with oncogenesis, and then this improved performance related to decreased stress, and there are signaling pathway that are generated from the brain that helps in neurogenesis. So what happens if a correct diet is not followed? So we all do see our patients coming to us asking different questions like, डॉक्टर साहब मेरे जो रमजान के अंदर चूंकि हम डाइट चेंज जाती है तो रिफ्लक्स बहुत बढ़ गया है, डॉक्टर साहब किस तरह से करना है, रमजान में किस तरह से हमें कोई दवा बता दें. Especially nowadays, as patients are not going to come to the clinic, they will be calling you on phone, they will be discussing on your WhatsApp or whatnot. So we should be aware of what are the advices that we are going to give to our patients. So during the fasting month of Ramadan, that can improve the personal health only if there is correct diet that is followed. What happens in during holy month, we are keeping ourselves fasted for 14 to 16 hours, and then when you are allowed to eat, then we eat a lot. Just after breaking our fast during iftar time, you see a whole lot of sagats of alamia that we do eat, and we are not holding our hand and mouth. So everything should be taken in moderation. Our religion is also asking us to be to consume everything in moderation. So when we are not following this thing, we see a lot of dyspeptic symptoms and reflux in our patient. They get bloated, they get reflux, they get regurgitation. So and heartburn are the most common symptoms during Ramadan, particularly when you eat too much during iftar or seher. So the important thing is, the important message to your patient is eat in moderation and eliminate those food which are going to worsen your symptoms. So tell your patient that there are some food that you should be avoiding, and what happens during fasting. So this is a very good paper evaluation of self-perceived changes in GI symptoms during fasting. And you see here in the first this A bar chart that there was during fasting there was improvement in esophageal symptoms, but there was worsening of constipation during fasting. So, and this is the same thing where you see confidence interval, which is not crossing 1, which means this is significant. So 3.7 times you are more prone to get constipation during fasting, but you get less esophageal symptoms. So there is some protective effect. So who are at risk for these symptoms during Ramadan? There is increased symptoms for those patients who are already suffering from acid peptic disease and peptic ulcer. People are talking about peptic ulcer perforation, chance of bleeding during Ramadan, who are having symptoms. So there is a chance that they may deteriorate, who have chronic peptic ulcer disease. But for gastritis and gastric symptoms, they may deteriorate, but there is no effect on duodenal ulcer who are under treatment. So if a person is not taking any medicine, they may deteriorate, but who are patients who are having acid peptic disease, who are taking medicine, they're not going to have any symptoms, provided they are following the diet as well as medicine prescription adherence. So in healthy individual, there are minor GI symptoms they are reported, but majority are managed effectively. There are some studies who have conflictive data. People are talking about increase in acid secretion and increase in acid peptic disease, but they are not in agreement, like mesenteric ischemia, hyperemesis gravitarum, and primary bowel volvulus seem to increase during Ramzan, but interception is decreased. What happens is that you tend to lose some weight during the month of Ramadan, and then there is the volvulus gets increased. So talk about what are the scientific evidence that suggests that whether the symptoms are going to increase or decrease during Ramadan. So the data is not much, but whatever data that is available is also very much conflicting. Like Turkish study from Oskan suggested that there are more individuals who are diagnosed with upper GI bleeding during Ramzan, and one study from Iran that suggests that Imami and Rahimi, they have suggested that there was no difference between fasting and non-fasting state from Irani population in terms of GI bleed during Ramadan. So another conflicting data is also incidence of peptic ulcer disease that doesn't increase during Ramadan. But Bena et al. In 2006 reported that there was high frequency of peptic ulcer disease and perforation of peptic ulcer not in the month of Ramadan, but just following Ramadan. So the data is scarce. The data is very much haywire. You cannot rely on whether they increase or they do not increase. Coming to another scientific evidence, like Darwish suggested that GI symptoms in healthy Iranian population was increasing during the month of Ramadan, and they found that women are more likely to have symptoms rather than men, and none of the participants had to quit fasting, and which means that more than 4 days of interruption in fasting was considered as significant. So only 9.8% of participated in this study participants report that they had to break their fasting for more than 4 days due to GI problem. So majority of our patients who are able to fast, they continue their fasting during the month of Ramadan. So we need to educate our patient during the Ramadan, and people who are having symptoms, majority of them have diabetes. What is important in diabetes is that they have different GI problems associated with diabetes. One thing is they have to adjust their doses for insulin for their oral hypoglycemic agent. But the other thing is long-standing diabetes, they do have a lot of motility disorders during diabetes. So they can have more problems during the month of Ramadan as compared to non-diabetic. So you should give extra vigilant care and advice to them. So people who are having peptic ulcer disease and who are fasting, because of prolonged fasting, you need to counsel them that they should have adequate meal during Sahar, and then they should not eat much during Iftar. And then the pain that is associated with dyspeptic symptoms may aggravate during empty stomach and can last for longer time as compared to the normal days. There are some food which can increase your dyspeptic symptoms, which can increase your reflux symptoms and regurgitation. So you need to advise them to avoid those type of food like greasy fatty meal, which is going to irritate and this greasy fat. What happens is that greasy fatty meal laxes your G junction, and this increases your reflux. And sometimes this greasy fatty meal and heavy diet and alcohol. So majority of us who are fasting, not taking alcohol, by the way, but alcohol itself, when we talk about alcohol, alcohol is going to relax your G junction, and acidic food are going to increase. So avoid acidic food, which means food with uh, like Pepsi, 7-Up, soda beverages, carbonated drinks. Avoid coffee, because coffee, and this include also decaffeinated coffee, that is going to increase your reflux and dyspeptic symptoms. So everything should be in moderation. A moderate approach should be adopted. When breaking fast, eat in small proportion. You can have interrupted meals. Like I tell my patients, when you open your fast, you break your and at the time of start with dates and light food and beverages, and then go for your prayer of Maghrib, and then between Maghrib and Taraweeh prayer or Isha prayer, you can have your dinner, uh, so that you have at least 3 hour gap between your last meal and retiring to bed, because this helps in digestion. What happens is that whenever we eat, there is increased production of acid, and that leads to reflux and dyspeptic symptoms. If you go down to sleep, if I'm sitting or standing, then what happens that there is regurgitation of food from the stomach into the esophagus because of the gravity that is going to go down. When I'm sleeping, so I'm standing, and then this is the food that goes down. When I'm lying down, there is no effect of gravity. So what is happening? So you have taken your heavy meal, your acid is many times increased in the stomach, and then you lie down instantaneously. What happens is that there is no effect of gravity, there is increased food, there is increased acid, so you get a lot of dyspeptic symptoms. We do see our patient coming to us that, Doc Saab, between my sleep, I get disturbed sleep, I get up middle of night with reflux. So what should I do? So tell them that they should 3 hour gap between last meal and retiring to bed. They can take heavy meals at night, but ideally before Taraweeh, so that they have some time while they go to sleep. And then for Sahar period, take in moderation. Drink a lot of water to conserve water as well as liquid, any type of liquid, but avoid caffeinated drink, avoid carbonated drink, and processed food during Sahar as well, because you don't have time for 3 hours or 2 hours. So after Sahar, offer your prayer, and then you can advise your patient that elevate the head end to increase the effect of gravity. So they should not lie down just after Sahar. So if you elevate your head end, this is going to help your patient in terms of reflux. So especially those patients who are having reflux and GERD, they can be helped with these lifestyle and dietary modification. So avoid visiting, avoid these things during Sahar and Iftar. Fasting during the month of Ramadan also provide opportunity of health professionals to promote health improvement initiative in your patients. So this is good opportunity when your patient comes for consultation for any reason. Tell them that for a good diet, increase their exercise. Smoking cessation is also very good time for this whole month. While people are smokers, and this is very helpful that you are quitting smoking for 14 to 16 hours during the day. Why not? You can stop smoking for life. So I have seen a lot of people who stop lifetime smoking during this holy month of Ramadan. I've seen people who are drinking, they stop drinking during Ramadan, and then they continue to quit. So this time is very helpful. Utilize this opportunity of Ramadan to tell your patient that these are initiatives that is helpful, especially they are going to lose weight during Ramadan. So those who are obese, those who are diabetic patient, this is good opportunity for them to modify their diet, to modify their lifestyle, and continue after Ramadan. So you can tell your patient that carbohydrate and slow digesting food at the time of Sahri is very important, so that they can last longer and make them less hungry. and this is more energetic to stay normal during the day. And whenever we are busy in your life, do normal activities, don't sit at home that you are fasting. So time goes on quickly and you even cannot recall that you are hungry. For those people who are having a lot of reflux and GERD, you can advise them that avoid greasy fatty meal. They can replace their greasy fatty meal like मेरे पास मैं कर रहा हूँ लेकिन समोसे जलेबी पकोड़े ये शायद हमारे इंटीग्रल पार्ट है सरी एंड अफ्तारी के लिए तो वी कैन नॉट गेट अवे विद देम लेकिन मॉडरेशन द इम्पोर्टेंट थिंग इज कि जी आप ले लें पकोड़े भी ले लें समोसे भी ले लें बट इन मॉडरेशन ये ना हो कि 2 समोसे और आधा किलो पकोड़े खा गए एक आध पकोड़ा ले लें समझ आती है तो थोड़ा सा मॉडरेशन में कर लें दोज हु आर हैविंग सिम्टम्स grilled and oven baked diet is important वो ले लें instead of replace your diet इसी तरीके से आम दिनों में मैं अपने पेशेंट्स को एडवाइस कर रहा होता हूँ कि मैं ये नहीं कह रहा कि आप ग्रीसी फैटी मील ना लें लेकिन आप डाइन आउट ना करें अल्टीमेटली जब आप डाइन आउट करने जाते हैं आजकल तो चले कोविड है सब कुछ बंद पड़ा हुआ है लेकिन आम दिनों में जब हम डाइन आउट करने जाते हैं तो you enjoy with your family but you should be selective in terms of selective what do you mean कि जी बाकी फैमिली हो सकता है कबाब पराठे खा रहे हो आप बेक्ड आइटम ले सकते हैं आप ग्रिल्ड आइटम ले सकते हैं तो आप कबाब ले लें लेकिन पराठे की जगह आप सादे नान या चपाती ले लें ड्रिंक्स ना लें उसकी जगह कोई आप हेल्दी जूस ले लें फ्रेश जूस ले लें सो मॉडिफाई अकॉर्डिंगली ड्यूरिंग रमजान ड्रिंक लॉट ऑफ वाटर ड्यूरिंग सहर सो दैट यू कैन preserve your energy and acidic fruit juice को avoid करें which means कि आप जो है ड्रिंक्स ये जो पेप्सी 7 अप वगैरह इस टाइप की चीजें हैं कार्बोनेटेड ड्रिंक्स इसको अवॉइड करना है बट यू कैन टेक मील which has lot of potassium like banana like guava अमरूद जो है आपके ये आप ले सकते हैं which is going to conserve your energy as well as well-being. This is a very important thing. This is incorporating intermittent fasting pattern. So this is the study which discussed regarding okay, we can tell in our medical student curriculum that we should have something about fasting, why this is important. So it is important because this is helpful in risk reduction in terms of complication of diabetes and hypertension. It is important risk reduction in terms of cancer prevention because apoptosis goes on with fasting and that helps us. So physician, dietitian and nutrition can, so this was a study where dietitian and physician and the nurses went to family physician, internist, pediatric cardiologist, oncologist, and psychiatrist, and they tell them to start fasting. So this was a 4-month study. In 1 month, first month they started with 10-hour feeding period, 5 days a week, and they were allowed to take whatever they want for the 2 days. And then second month, the restricted time restricted feeding was 8 hours, and then 6 hours. Was third month was 5 days, and then whole week 6-hour feeding period and 18-hour fasting. And this noted that, or the second regime was 5:2, which means 500 calories 2 days a week, which was intermittent fasting, and both help them in terms of health outcomes. So this is a very good study which scientifically predicted that fasting is helpful in terms of regaining your energy as well as preventing cancer and complications of diabetes and hypertension, dyslipidemia. But the bigger problem with this thing was that the biggest challenge they faced was adherence. And same is the case when we prescribe medicine to our patient, that adherence is a big challenge. So there are different medicine that you can prescribe to your patients who are having reflux apart from dietary measures. You first thing is advise them dietary measures, that what are the diets that they should be following 3-hour gap between last meal and dining to bed, elevate your head end during seher time. And but still, this is big challenge to achieve patient adherence. And then you advise medicine. Um, there are different type of medicine that you can prescribe. The first thing is antacid. Antacid is short term, so you cannot prescribe during the timing of fast, 14 to 16 hour. So we rely on PPI. Prokinetic may have some benefit. So coming to PPI and other things, this is adherence is a big problem. There are different factors. Like if your prescription is very complex, you prescribe 2 times or 3 times a day medicine. This is going to get lesser compliance as compared to a medicine which is taken once a day. Patient may not be compliant because of the side effects. And then there are beliefs, like they don't think that this is medicine is going to help them. Then patients are missing their dose because they are forgetting. So someone who is taking care of your patient should be giving, like, especially with forgetfulness we see in patients who are living alone or who are elderly. Then someone need to from the home should ask them that this is the medicine time the family member should take. Then there are some logistic issues. जी आजकल 5 बजे दुकानें बंद हो जाती हैं, क्या करें? There are some availability, and then the bigger thing is cost. So cost effectiveness in our country where people cannot afford medicine is important. So non-adherence are different factors. So it is seen in study that only 46% of the patient were optimized to take advised dose, and 54 days. So nearly 50% are non-compliant with the full dose that is advised. And again, there is another problem with lifestyle modification non-adherence, which also helpful, which also hinders your response to therapy. So combining these two, so you have multi-pronged approach: medicine as well as lifestyle modification, and then also reassurance for the benefit. This is very important slide that you need to understand. All proton pump, when you're talking about the reflux and GERD, all proton pump inhibitors are helpful for your patients. Regarding choosing which medicine you need to choose, you can have a lot of options. Like the first one that came into market was omeprazole. Its bioavailability is only 30 to 40% as compared to esomeprazole, which has a bioavailability of reaching up to 90%. And then lansoprazole is 85 to 70%. Pantoprazole is 77%. The important thing is, again, when your patient is going to get the benefit. So omeprazole, it takes 3.5 hours to reach the peak effect as compared to omeprazole, which is only takes 1.5 hours. So this is quick action. Same is the case with lansoprazole. Pantoprazole is 2 to 3 hours. So it's almost similar to omeprazole. Talk about deslansoprazole, which is a new molecule. It has DDR, dual release preparation, which means that it has a front peak, and then there is a delayed continuous maintenance phase. And that's why this is the half-life for this medicine is long. And you can see here in the column of deslansoprazole that this is 1 to 2 hours for the first peak, and then 4 to 5 hours for the next peak. The important thing is the choice of your medicine is hepatic metabolism, so and drug-drug interaction. So it has dual pantoprazole and deslansoprazole. They have dual receptors to metabolize the drug. So when your patient is having ischemic heart disease, especially we are careful when your patient having ischemic heart disease, having stents, cardiac stents, then you are careful because drug-drug interaction, they are going to, your clopidogrel is going to compete with the receptor side at the hepatic metabolism side. So, and the level of clopidogrel may go down, and that may lead to stent blockage. So if you're talking about cardiologists, they are very particular regarding drug-drug interaction with clopidogrel. So the good thing about pantoprazole, so that's why Even in initial 3 months of deployment of stent, you can give pantoprazole safely and dexlansoprazole as compared to omeprazole and esomeprazole. So we are not giving esomeprazole or omeprazole or in those patients who have cardiac stents, especially during the last 3 months. And there is no interaction with clopidogrel, so you can give safely pantoprazole or dexlansoprazole. Coming to the food interaction, because we know that all proton pump inhibitor need to be given empty stomach. So what happens? जी मैं रमजान में सहरी के लिए उठता हूँ, I have reflux, I need to take. मैं इतना निकम्मा आदमी हूँ कि my wife says कि जी सहरी में उठ जाओ, 20 मिनट रह गए तब तो जाके मेरी आँख खुलती है, ठीक है? How can I take proton pump inhibitor? This is advised that it should be taken 30 minutes before meal. So मैंने PPI ली और बस नाश्ता किया और वो सहरी की और उसके बाद अजान हो गई. तो ये तो हमारे हालात है, सबके तक मेरा ख्याल है यही हालात है. So this is very difficult कि जी PPI को आधे घंटे पहले लेना है, which is that's how food interaction is contracted. The good thing about dexlansoprazole is that it doesn't need to be taken empty stomach. So there is no effect whether this is taken empty stomach. So that is also helpful in terms of reflux measure. And I'll remind you here that dexlansoprazole is approved for reflux only, for GERD only. So this is very helpful in time of Ramadan, that it is going to, because of dual release preparation, is going to continue your slow release at the second peak after 3 to 4 hours, 4 to 5 hours, and then the initial peak at the time of Seher. If you take at the time of Seher, just before meal or at the time of Seher, and there is no food interaction, that you should not be cautious to take 30 minutes before meal. And almost all the drugs have daily dosing of once a day. Omeprazole may be taken twice a day. And the important target is to keep your pH more than 4. So omeprazole is almost keeping this target as 11 to 12 hours. Esomeprazole is 14 hours. And you can see dexlansoprazole is almost 16 to 24 hours. So while the 16 or 14 hours of fasting, this is very helpful, that if you take in the time of Seher, this is going to take care of your reflux symptoms throughout the day. And at the time of Iftar, even during after Iftar, you can take as and when required basis for any antacid, because at that time, so this is going to keep your fasting very helpful if your patient is having a lot of reflux. So tell and get advantage of this pharmacokinetic and pharmacodynamic effect of the molecule. This is the diagrammatic representation where the first thing is fasting versus dose, which is giving 30 minutes or 5 minutes before high fat meal. And we do see a lot of fat meal during the time of Seher and Iftar. So there is no effect of fatty meal or dosing 30 minutes before high fat meal, 5 minutes before meal, or 30 minutes after. Whatever you take, whenever you take dexlansoprazole, that is going to be helpful throughout the day. So just a few take-home messages for healthcare professionals, that we should educate our patient for balanced diet. They should have moderation. I'm not saying that you should avoid samosa, pakode, and jalebi during your and biryani during the Ramadan, but take in moderation. And the important thing is, when you're taking, you should be careful. Apply lifestyle modification of 3-hour gap between last meal and retiring to bed. Elevate your head end. Avoid smoking. And this is the best time to tell your patient to stop smoking and alcohol, because this is going to increase your reflux, and that is going to be motivational thing for them, that you are telling your patient that the Ramadan is ahead. For the whole month, you are not going to consume alcohol. You're not going to consume smoking majority of the time. So why not stop altogether? Patients who are non-compliant are at risk for problems. So you should advise them medicine. As we know in studies that 50% of our patients are not taking adequate medicine, the dose is suboptimal. So any medicine which is given in more than once a day is going to have problem with compliance. and ensure your patient for the drug adherence to therapy. And we must spare some time to explain to our patient the different modalities of therapy. And in the end, I would say that dexlansoprazole and is very helpful in terms of reflux, especially in the month of Ramadan, that it has a long duration of effect, as well as there is flexibility of the important thing is flexibility of meal time. ऐसा नहीं है कि जी सहरी के लिए मुझे आधे घंटे पहले सिर्फ इसलिए कि मुझे ओम्प्रोजोल या पेंटाप्रोजोल या लेंसप्रोजोल खानी है तो मुझे आधा घंटा गैप देना है और उसके बाद मुझे सहरी करनी है. So this gives you very important flexibility in terms of meal, and there is no effect on absorption and bioavailability. So this is going to be the drug of choice for reflux, and especially during the month of Ramadan. And now we are going to take some questions in the end.
So thank you very much for sharing your expertise. And as you know, we are heading towards Ramadan. There are a lot of questions regarding Ramadan. One of them is constant heartburn complaint by some of the patients exist in each Ramadan, no matter how much you control their diet. What should be the possible cure for them so they can feel better in Ramadan?
People who are having a lot of symptoms despite they are taking care of the diet, one thing is lifestyle modification. Tell them for what we discussed, 3-hour gap between last meal. तो वो उसके आप उनको बता सकते हैं कि जी आपको small meal ले लें during the time of iftari, and then before Isha prayer take your dinner, so that you have 3-hour gap between your last meal and dinner. And then also prescribed medicines, PPI. We discussed different type of PPI, the advantages and disadvantages. So you can choose any PPI for symptomatic relief, and especially dexlansoprazole can be given to them.
And any special food item that should be part of Sehri or iftar to keep GERD symptoms in control throughout the day?
Food item like carbohydrate diet is important. They can give nutrition, but avoid your fizzy drinks. And then citrus juices may have some problem with the GERD, so avoid citrus juices. अभी आजकल किनो आए हैं तो थोड़ा सा ले लें, लेकिन थोड़ा सा avoid कर लें, क्योंकि जिन लोगों को ज़्यादा reflux हो रहा है, avoid citrus juices and citrus fruit, which is going to increase reflux. इसीलिए आपने देखा होगा कि Pepsi 7-Up ये सारी चीजें सस्ती हो जाती है रमजान में, स्पेशल ऑफर आ रहे होते हैं. Avoid them.
Exactly. And sir, some people believe that if they avoid soda drinks and they go for the red drink and green drink, then it won't cause acidity. Is that right?
There are a lot of problems. Like soda drink is going to, there's no doubt that soda drink is going to increase your reflux. Avoid them, avoid fizzy drinks. Green tea and other, like people have started taking different herbal thing. There is no problem with that as far as they are. So if you have symptoms, avoid that diet, that food in your routine.
And what should be the key advice for HCPs who are managing peptic ulcers patients in Ramadan?
So basically, spare some time. Spare some time to tell your patient the dietary modification, and if they have very much symptomatic, give them a prescription for PPI. There are a lot of choice, whatever you like, and also this is good opportunity to tell your patient to quit smoking, which is the prime problem.
And so some people believe that we heard from it कि अगर वो खाने के बाद वो smoking करते हैं, it helps in digestion. Is that a myth or a fact?
This is all their thing in the mind. Yes, caffeine and nicotine has some effect in terms of increasing motility and all, but this is harmful. Why to do that? And the other thing is, people come to me कि जी हम तो स्टूल ही नहीं पास कर सकते, IBS है, ये है, वो है, स्टूल ही नहीं पास कर जब तक हम स्मोक ना करें। मैं सुबह के टाइम जाता हूँ, क्या आ रहे होते हैं पेशेंट की जी मैं सुबह के टाइम जाता हूँ, जब तक मैं स्मोक ना करूँ मैं तो वॉशरूम ही नहीं जा सकता। दीज आर ऑल myths and probably I tell them कि जी मेरे पास कितने सारे पेशेंट आपने देखे होंगे जिनको के जो आपका साल से फॉलो कर रहे हैं और विद दिस बिलीफ कि जी मैं तो सिगरेट पीऊंगा तो उसके बाद फिर मैं स्टूल पास करूंगा। उसके बाद क्या हुआ कि जी खुदा ना खास्ता उनको मैसिव दे लैंड अप इन मैसिव, मैं अगले दिन से उसने सिगरेट छोड़ दी, तो क्या उन्होंने स्टूल नहीं पास किया? सो टेल देम दैट इंक्रीज योर डाइटरी फाइबर। स्पगोल हस्क एडवाइस कर दे उनको, ठीक है। और उसका तरीका ये होता है, इट वर्क्स इन टू वे। स्पगोल इज हेल्पफुल फॉर कॉन्स्टिपेशन एज वेल एज डायरिया। सो मैं अपने पेशेंट से कह रहा होता हूँ कि टेक अ बिग जार और कंटेनर, कोई बड़ा मग्गा और टिपिकली लस्सी वाला ग्लास हो, 2 टेबल स्पून डाल के पानी में डाल के उसको छोड़ दिए 10-15 मिनट के लिए, इट शुड बिकम लाइक जेली, और उसको पी लें। ऊपर से एक और ग्लास थोड़ी सी रह जाएगी, जो रेजिडुअल रहेगा मजीद पानी डाइजेस्टर की जो पी जाइए। दैट इज द बेस्ट थिंग टू हेल्प फॉर कॉन्स्टिपेशन। सो इंस्टेड ऑफ स्मोकिंग एंड risking your life as well as losing your money, do this thing. This is helpful. This is helpful for cancer. This is helpful for decreasing your lipids to some extent, not much, but to some extent. And this is a natural product.
Okay, sir. Is there any role of probiotics in GERD?
Probiotic have been tried, and this is helpful in symptoms relief in GERD, though not much. The best thing is lifestyle modification followed by proton pump inhibitor. Yes, you can use probiotic. A person who is taking probiotic for any reason like IBS, constipation, diarrhea dominant IBS, we do prescribe. That is also helpful for GERD as well.
हमने देखा गया कि बहुत से कंसल्टेंट्स अपने क्लिनिकल एक्सपीरियंस के बेस पे डेक्सट्रोजोल को बीडी फॉर्म में या टीडीएस फॉर्म में भी प्रिस्क्राइब कर रहे होते हैं, या कुछ जीपीस प्रिस्क्राइब कर रहे होते हैं। वो व्हाट्स योर टेक ऑन दैट?
देखें, जैसे मैंने आपको भी वापस चलते हैं स्लाइड पर। दिस इज बेसिकली द स्लाइड व्हिच टेल्स यू regarding bioavailability as well as peak time to achieve plasma levels. And you see here dexlansoprazole, time to peak plasma level was 1 to 2 hours for first peak, because यहाँ पे हमारे पास टाइम रिलीज प्रिपरेशन है, डुअल रिलीज प्रिपरेशन, एक फर्स्ट पीक आएगी उसके बाद एक सस्टेन रिलीज चलती रहेगी। सो दिस इज 4 to 5 hours। सो एक तो ये। दूसरी चीज अगर आप नीचे देखें कि जो इसकी वो है हाफ लाइफ है, दैट इज आल्सो इम्पोर्टेंट। एंड देन द पीएच, द लास्ट लाइन, पीएच हमारा टारगेट क्या है? टारगेट ये है कि पीएच शुड बी मोर देन 4, अल्कलाइन मीडियम होना चाहिए टू हेल्प यू in managing reflux. So this is going to continue for 16 to 24 hours. So there is no use of prescribing twice or thrice a day. This should be once a day only. This is brilliant medicine that should be given once a day. Don't waste your time. Don't waste your money. And this is going to decrease your compliance as well. कि अगर आप एक पेशेंट को एक दफा बताते हैं कि 24 घंटे में एक दफा लेनी है वर्सेस 2 या 3 दफा लेनी है, तो he is going to miss. He is going to. This is slightly expensive than other molecule. So they are not going to follow. So especially in general practice, you should be cost effective as well, and don't waste your resources.
So, sir, speaking about the peptic ulcer, should the peptic ulcer patients fast or not based on their condition?
देखें, मेरे पास बड़े सारे पेशेंट हैं। डॉक्टर साहब, वो जी मुझे पिछले महीने एसिड पेप्टिक डिजीज थी और अल्सर था, मैंने एंडोस्कोपी में आया था, हेलिकोबैक्टर ट्रीटमेंट लिया, मैं रोजा रखूं ना रखूं, मैं उनसे मजाक से ये कह रहा था लाइटर मूड कि जी आप डॉक्टरी फतवा लेने आए हैं। बट लेकिन बात ये है कि as far as if you can tolerate and you can do fasting, it's better that you should fast. Utilize get help from PPI, so they are going to help. So those patients, and we discuss in this slide of Irani study as well as Turkish study that here that none of the patient, second bullet, none of the patient who participated in the study had to quit fasting, and GI symptoms in healthy Iranian subject remain the same, and they are not going to increase your symptoms. So continue with fast. You may use PPF, proton pump inhibitor, as advised, and we saw that there was no difference between fasting and non-fasting. in Irani patients. And in the last bullet, if you see the slide, that perforated, I have kept this in bold, perforated peptic ulcer in the month of following Ramadan was slightly higher as compared to Ramadan, but there was no effect in terms of incidence of peptic ulcer. So you can continue.
Sir, are there any side effects related to suboptimal dosing of the PPIs?
Yes, if you are giving suboptimal, like you're not giving daily dose alternate day or something, or patient is missing. So the important thing is adherence to the prescribed dose, which is very important. And that's why people do tend to miss. Like if you give omeprazole may be given once a day, but maximum dose is twice a day. People are going to miss. So choose a drug which is going to be once a day. Majority, yes, I agree that for all patient, majority of PPI is once a day. For reflux, severe reflux, you may give twice a day, but for dexlansoprazole, it's not indicated that you should give twice a day or thrice a day. You should be giving once a day.
Okay, sir, any role of SSRI in stress-induced ulcers, and can they combine with PPIs?
SSRIs or tricyclic antidepressant we used, but this is not for reflux. We use for functional dyspepsia. And functional dyspepsia sometimes overlaps with IBS-C, constipation dominant IBS or diarrhea dominant IBS. In these type of patients, we use SSRI, but not for GERD. Stress-induced ulcers are seen not in what we call psychosomatic stress. Stress-induced ulcer, the term stress-induced ulcer is not psychosomatic stress, but stress related to ICU setting, person with burn injury. So they are the people, or a recent big surgery where they can get stress. This is called stress-induced ulcer. This is not psychosomatic stress or tension, anxiety that gives you stress ulcer. So stress ulcer, the term stress ulcer is not stressful lifestyle, but stress of surgery, stress of burn injury, or sepsis and severe emaciated trauma or emaciation because of tumors.
And so, just on a lighter note, we have a question that is there any relation of GERD and COVID?
So GERD and COVID is not, as far as I know, this is not studied in more detail. But as far as I know, we do not have relation with GERD and COVID. Yes, there is relation of diarrhea. We do see presentation of COVID with diarrhea. 1/3 or 20% of the patient do present with diarrhea as a first sign of COVID along with fever. So if a person is having fever and having diarrhea without cough, you should be very careful that this may be COVID.
So thank you very much for sharing your expertise. In the end, we would like you to have a message for the physicians. What's your take on the physicians and for the patients as well regarding the current topic?
So tell your patient for healthy lifestyle and basically a combination same as for physician and for your patients, that healthy lifestyle, everything should be in moderation. ये नहीं कि जी आपने सब चीजें बंद कर दी, लें सब चीजें लेकिन थोड़ा सा moderation में कर लें, especially for those people who are having symptoms. दूसरी चीज ये है कि for symptomatic patients who are not controlled on lifestyle modification, you should be generous to prescribe proton pump inhibitor, and the choice is yours. Yes, what we discuss here, that a new molecule with dual release may be helpful, and especially मेरे जैसे काहिल आदमी के लिए जो बिल्कुल आखिर में उठता है सेरी से, तो उसके पास टाइम नहीं आधे घंटा देने का प्रोटॉन पंप इनहिबिटर, तो that is very brilliant drug for us, जो कि आपने ले ली और उसके बाद आपने नाश्ता कर लिया, उसी वक्त नाश्ते के साथ ले ली, या उस मतलब सेरी के साथ ले ली, और या जिस वक्त बिल्कुल आसान से मिनट रह जाता है और हम पानी पी रहे हो तो उसके साथ आपने ले ली, तो this is good drug to be helpful for us. And I'm very thankful for your patient listening, and if even later day of the time you have some question, you can ask me on my email address. My email address ID is zahid.azam@duhs.edu.pk, zahid.azam Tau University of Health Sciences, duhs.edu.pk. Thank you very much.